Mapping practice is a practice where we take a part of the body and create a sensate map of it. We can do it on our entire body or on someone else's body. We can do it on particular areas on the body. For this practice, we are going to map the hand and the arm. So this is a mapping area. And we're going to imagine that we've put a grid on this area, and that this grid is dividing this area to tiny little squares. Each of those squares will get a bit of attention through touch. And so we're going to systematically start working our way down from the arm down to the hand and the fingertips. And for this practice, we're just going to do the top of our arm and the top of our hand. So let's start up here, right underneath the elbow. And so I'm imagining there are a couple of little squares on the grid here. I'm going to start with this square and touch it in a way. It doesn't actually matter which way. Probably the first thing that comes to mind will be fine. And so the way I'm touching it would be really soft, really light, in little circular motions. So I'm kind of spiraling or circling around the square on my grid. And as I'm doing that, I'm getting curious about what that feels like for me. Is it pleasant? Is it unpleasant? If I had a scale of -3 to +3, -3 is feeling horrible, +3 is feeling amazing, and 0 being neutral, where would I be on that scale? And so for me, currently, this little movement is probably 1, like a +1. And what it feels like is quite nourishing. I'm having quite a nourishing sensation here. But you might feel a different quality of your touch. And we'll bring that to a pause for a moment. Now that we've paused for a moment, we have an opportunity to feel the effect of this touch. And we just need to pause for maybe 20 or 30 seconds to see what that touch feels like in the body once it's finished, once we pause it for a moment. And now to continue, we're going to go to the next little square on the grid. We can touch it in the same way, in those soft, slow, round touch, or we could try a different touch there. It's up to you. So you might choose to touch it softly, just like we did before, or you might choose to do a different touch, perhaps apply more pressure. So I'm choosing to touch it differently right now by pressing down on my skin and trying to feel for my muscle underneath the skin. And I'm doing it slowly, and as I'm pressing down, I'm pausing for a moment and noticing what that's like. And then I'm moving to a little different patch of skin still on my square. And again, where am I on that scale, -3 to +3? What quality has this touch has for me? Do I notice anything else in my body? And there's nothing you need to feel, there's nothing you don't. It simply is an exercise in being curious and explorative. And I'm taking a couple of deep breaths as I'm doing this to allow the rest of my body to relax and feel more. Now let's pause and just allow a few moments to let this touch settle. Now let's move to the next 2 squares on my grid. Perhaps I can try a different touch there. So with mapping, you can choose to do the same touch all through your grid and notice the differences in the different areas of your body. Or you can choose to vary the touch and get really creative and curious. If you decide to vary the touch, think of different ways to move your fingers. Think of different pressures to do. Think of different parts of your fingers or your hand that you're using. So in this case, first I used my fingertips. For this square on the grid, I'm going to use my nails and lightly scratch as I'm going around, or the tips of my fingers. And notice, what's that like for me? So this is about probably still a 1, but it has a different quality. It feels a bit exciting and a little bit arousing in my body. And I'm noticing that excitement and arousal, not just locally, but all over my body, just very subtly. That's what it feels like for me, but it might feel very different for each and every one of you. Let's take a breath and pause. And the practice will then continue through your whole arm, all the way down to your fingertips, to the top of your hand and your fingertips. So you can choose a part of the body to map, or you can choose your whole body to map. If you're choosing to map a bigger part or the whole body, the grids become a little bigger. You can get curious around how one side of the body feels compared to the other as well. That can be really interesting. And you can also map erogenous zones. Any erogenous zones in your body, any areas that are sensitive and can lead to excitement and arousal, are really beneficial to map. And so if we are mapping an erogenous zone, might be your genitals, might be your belly, might be your neck, we're really thinking of making that grid quite small and quite detailed, because there's a lot of sensitivity in the skin. The smaller and more detailed and slower we go, the more information you're going to feel, and the better your sensate map is going to be.